Once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over. He is one of the true show business legends. He's been making us laugh for well over 50 years, from his start on the Garry Moore Show to Mchale's Navy to his 11-year stint on the Carol Burnett Show. My next guest is a national treasure. He returns to The World Over to talk about his work, his faith, and his terrific new memoir, What's So Funny? My Hilarious Life. And it certainly was when I sat down with Tim Conway recently at his home in Los Angeles. Take a look. Now, well, this story started in Chagrin Falls, Ohio.
Yes.
I want to start there, and I want you to share with us, who were your comedic influences? Who were you watching or listening to, more importantly, at that time?
I think it was the guys who named our town Chagrin.
Chagrin?
Because that means disappointment in Indian or whatever. And so Chagrin Falls, Disappointing Falls, and it was, because it was only about 4 feet high and the water would trickle over it. So you'd go down to Disappointing Falls to get married and all of that.
And just to feel bad about it.
Yeah. No, it was a great hometown. It was like a Tom Sawyer village, and I was very happy there. Much happier than I am here, because you fellas have rearranged all our furniture for us.
The whole domicile,
right.
For which I apologize.
Don't worry about it.
Now, you were doing a show in the late 50s and early 60s on Cleveland television.
Yes.
How did you get into performing?
I had nothing else to do, and so I went down to a television station in Cleveland, and I said, you know, I have an idea for a show. And Ernie Anderson will be the talent, a local guy who was very funny, at least I thought so, and I would be the director. Now, I had never directed, and he had very questionable talent. So we went on in the morning. Our first review said, you want to see Stink? Tune in to 8 o'clock.
Well, that's a great, what a tagline.
It stayed on quite some time, almost a year, because, or 14 weeks or whatever they were giving us, because it was so bad. And
it couldn't have been too bad. Rosemary, who was, you know, a big star at the time,
right.
She, I guess, blew into Cleveland doing something, saw you, and recommended you to Steve Allen?
Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show was happening to be coming through Cleveland, promoting the Dick Van Dyke Show. And I said, you want to see something, what we're doing here? And she said, gee, that's awful. And I said, yes, we have reviews to prove that. So she said, let me take this to Steve, because I think it's something that Steve would, because Don Knotts, Louis Nye, Tom Poston at the time were on his show, and he likes unusual talent. And she said, you are certainly unusual. So I came out here, Steve did his show, and the next thing I know, I was a regular on the show.
You end up, though, in Mchale's Navy with Ernie Borgnine.
Yes.
What was that like? I mean, suddenly you went from really doing sketch television to a scripted show. Tough transition?
It was wonderful. Ernie was, for a star as big as he'd just come off From Here to Eternity, and I mean, having these idiots running around, you know. Oh, hi, Skip. Ernie was the kind of a volatile guy, and he would punch people from time to time. Fortunately, not me.
I was going to ask, were you ever on the receiving end?
No. I always liked Ernie.
Your mother wasn't so sure, though. Even when you were, I mean, this was a big deal. You're on Mchale's Navy. The show was running. Your mother calls you and says,
Jim Shutt is who owned the hardware in town.
In Chagrin Falls.
Yeah. And she said, he's hiring another guy, and you know Jim pretty well, so I think you could get that job. So why don't you come home and work in the hardware? I said, have you been watching television for the last couple of years? And she said, yeah, but that crap's not going to go. So I said, well, maybe you're right.
So you did for a moment think about the
Yes.
selling the nails
Oh,
and the
yeah.
hammers.
Oh, yeah. I could still be there. Yeah. You want a size 16 nut? Here they go.
Did you ever think decades later, before I leave Mchale's Navy,
Uh-huh.
decades later, that you and Ernest Borgnine would be reunited doing SpongeBob SquarePants, which my children now know you from?
Well, I had no idea what we were doing. You know, you go in and you read, and they said, you do your SpongeBob, and yeah, okay. Well, the next thing I know, people are saying, well, we heard you on
You're a
that
Barnacle
show.
Boy.
Yeah, you're a Barnacle Boy. And yeah, it was very popular. And we did very well with that.
At some point in your book, which is screamingly funny, we haven't talked about the book yet, which is why I'm here.
I haven't read it either.
You have, well, the Cliff Notes are coming, so or you can read the review in the New York Times, which is very good.
Oh, really?
Yes. Let's talk about the chapter in this book which you call Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where you recount your days on the Carol Burnett Show.
Yes.
Why do you call the chapter Heaven?
Well, it was heaven. After working with Ernie Borgnine and 6 other guys for a long time, once in a while you see a nurse on the show, but that was it for females. So it
War
was
as hell.
Yeah, right. It was like going overseas.
What was it about that group of people and that time that made the Carol Burnett Show work?
Well, we were all alcoholics,
Oh,
so
that's a
that
good start.
gave us certain relaxation to the show. I guess it was the rhythm of the show, and Harvey and I were the best of friends, and Carol is the most generous person you can imagine, and so we never had any problems with a star going, I'll say that, and she was always willing to share the show, and I think that's what made it so good. I didn't necessarily want to do the show, but she said, you know, you better come in and
Or she was
do
going to
it.
recall the loan.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about. There's some classic characters we have to revisit. Mr. Tudball. Where did he originate? I was stunned to learn the source of his particular accent while reading the book. Explain that to people.
Well, my godparents were Romanian, and I never understood either one of them. And when they came over, they talked like this. So I would sit there and go, and my dad would be, you know what they're saying? No. So they would say, well, we come out the next Sunday, and we sit around here, and we just chat. And so I said, okay, we'll see you next Sunday. So that rhythm of what they were talking like, I kind of put into Tudball, and I was the boss of Mrs. Wiggins, who had a rather large rump.
I noticed that.
We're in luck. It's the mating season. What's the matter with you, beauty?
I don't know. I'm just so tired. It's all this Christmas hubbub, you know?
Christmas? I got the real Walter Cronkite for you, kid. Christmas isn't for the 9 months yet.
Oh, I know that. No, it's just that I like to do all of my shopping now so that I won't be tired then.
That makes a lot of sense. That's like eating a jar of jelly in case somebody asks you to the peanut butter prom.
Was that your creation, or was that sketch written and then, I mean, obviously the character was your creation. Did you write the sketch or no?
The rump was my
The rump was your contribution. I knew
contribution. I wrote, I guess, a lot of them, but you know, once you get writers and they understand what you're doing, they write it. So towards the end of the 33 shows, they got onto it and they started writing stuff for me, which I would do around the house.
Oh,
here.
that's
yeah.
good. So are those the you're releasing those next season on DVD?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
The extras, director's
CDs,
cut.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk. Let's talk for a second about this classic elephant story sketch. Okay. If there's one sketch that makes my children cry, my wife and I cry, my parents cry, it is that. In fact, we just watched it not long ago. That was part of my prep for this interview.
Oh, really?
Yes, we rewatched that moment. Where did that come from? Was that a rehearsal?
No, that was the show that we were taping.
Which obviously they had never seen before.
Joe Hamilton, who was the producer of the show at the time, came out and he said, "We're a little long on this show." So when Carol asks you a question, the question to which was the answer, elephant, just say elephant and get off.
I was at this freak show one time and I saw these Siamese elephants. There's a joint at the end of their trunks like that. And this trainer make them stand up on their back feet like that, and they had their trunks stretched like that. Then this little monkey had come out. Walk out there and dance the merengue right out there. Kind of felt sorry for them. They couldn't go like the other elephants when they go. All they could do is just blow and go. Norkin.
It went on about, I would say, 4 or 5 minutes, and I could see the directors in the booth in the back going, "Oh, how are we going to cut this up?" But that was the fun of the show. And Carol was just as hysterical because she knew that they were in trouble too. So
No, it is a classic.
Yeah.
A classic moment. What was it like? You've had such amazing partnerships over the years. What was it like working with Harvey Korman? What was it about his particular straight man to your wacky, uncontrollable self that made those scenes crackle and work?
Well, Harvey was probably the most intelligent person I have ever met. I mean, he knew everything about everything, but the man could not tie his own shoes. So I could put him on rather easily. And I would tell him things that had no way of being true, and he would buy them. So whenever I had the opportunity, I would stab him. And
Usually when a camera was rolling.
oh yes.
Come on! I'm having a nice day.
Seems to me, as I watch the Carol Burnett Show, as I watch even your films, beneath all of this, there is that great, sweet affection. You could tell these people really did care for each other
yes.
and do.
Yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with Don Knotts, and was that part of it? Were you all personal friends?
Well, Don, he is a great work with, and you know, and we were shooting in Atlanta one time, and we were in a room, and with all the lights, I mean, it was 180 in there, you know, and Don was, you know, it's kind of warm in here. Can we open the window or something or no? So I said, you know, he's uncomfortable. Can we? No, we can't do that. So finally, Don said he got up and he got very angry because he was kept in this room. And he said, "You know, I've been he knows here and I." And everybody said, "What'd he say?" I said, he said, sorry.
So he was the character we saw on
the
screen.
Character, yeah.
Let's shift gears for a moment and talk
Yeah.
about one of your other great creations, which is Dorf.
Uh-huh.
Where did Dorf come from?
I was doing a golf tape, and I said, they're all the same. You show guys keep your elbow and all that. I said, let's make this guy short. So we dug a hole in the ground, and I put the shoes on my knees, and I was standing there doing this thing with the Dorf. And a dog came out from the woods and took a leak on me. And I'm going, gee, I guess he thought I was a fire hydrant or something. And
There you are.
Well, you have to take the bad with the good.
Sold millions of copies, those DVDs.
Yes.
Millions
yes.
of them. And you, I mean,
Well,
you
I
did.
bought them all.
Well, I do. I know
Yeah.
you and your family. I saw the boxes as I came in. Yeah. But race car. Dorf did everything. Hunting.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there were iterations of this, and I mean, it really caught on. Did you ever imagine when you did this one little character that it would?
I never really imagined anything when I'm doing something. It just sometimes takes off. I have a lot of unsuccessful things too. Yeah, but for the most part, everything is kind of either made a small bang or a pop.
There's something I need to talk about that I
Yes.
learned reading the book. I knew that you were a convert to the Catholic faith.
Yes,
What I didn't realize was
I was
this.
a priest.
That's the one I didn't realize.
Yes.
and a contender for the Pope in the last election, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was very interesting, on the write-in ballot. Let's talk about how you had this moment in high school, this accident, where you were playing football, were hit in the spine, and years later, you're going into back spasms, and you attribute this sort of being a wake-up call for your faith. Tell us about that story.
I went to a doctor. Well, first of all, after I got that bang, I played football the next weekend with a broken back, and I didn't know it. And the doctor said, you've got to be very careful now. You have a cracked vertebrae, and until this thing heals or comes back together, you have to be very careful. So I didn't, of course. And years later, a doctor was examining me for something else, and he said, this could be a result of your broken back. And he said, what back broken? He said, well, you evidently cracked a vertebrae a long time ago. And he said, you could have been, first of all, paralyzed for the rest of your life. I had always been rather religious, and I got in touch with the man upstairs who turned out to be Jonathan Winters.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. And got in touch with the man upstairs and said, thank you very much. And I became a Catholic and have been a very strict, I don't go around going,
I know,
you should,
I know.
and I would, because that doesn't mean anything.
No, you live
So-
it, but you see it through your work.
Yes.
There's a gentility and a kind of
Well, I've
sweetness
never
in your work.
sworn in front of an audience. I've never done, well, I've taken off my clothes, but the
But you
booing
put
and
other clothes
hissing,
on.
Yeah, I can't take that. So, I've tried to remain something that if people come to see the show that they could enjoy with the children. And
Tim, why did you convert? You were raised Romanian Orthodox, baptized. That baptism story is hilarious, by the way, which you might want to recount.
I was being baptized, and I guess it was about 3 or 4 months old. And they put you on a little crib and down close to the floor, and they put the baby there, and you all walk around with some kind of holy rag or something, all holding on to it and saying prayers. And my parents were walking around with that, and I happened to fall off this thing and rolled under the table. And so when they all looked up, I'm gone. My dad said, he has risen. And the priest said, no, he has fallen. So, yeah, oh, here he is. They found me, put me back on.
Kind of an
Yes.
early slapstick. You're already doing
Yeah, right.
pratfalls right
My
at the
dad was
baptism.
doing comedy, I guess.
Yeah. Why did you convert to Catholicism?
I like the structure of it. It was much stricter than most other religions. You just got dressed on Sunday and went to church, and that was it. But Catholics, you got a lot of crosses hanging around your neck and rings and things of that nature. And so it was something I was comfortable with.
Tell me about your hidden talent, which we learn about in this book, which is you are a tailor. And in a moment, we're going to show people just how
Tailored I am.
accomplished you are. Where did this come from?
My mother was a seamstress, and sitting that long watching her sew, I kind of picked it up, and I would make clothes. You couldn't wear them out in public.
As I read this book, it is such a sunny, fun romp, really, through your life. There are great stories here, also a lot of insight into your personal life, your family, but it is a sunny portrait. What is the saddest moment in Tim Conway's life?
Wow,
Aside
boy.
from this interview. Please.
Well, this is pretty sad.
I know it.
I think like when my dog died, you know, those are sad moments. But no, my parents never smacked me or anything like that because I was a perfect child.
Well, that's what it is, sure.
Yeah, my mother actually said to my dad one time, he's done this, and she listed a whole bunch of things, and so my dad said, come here. So he went into my bedroom, and he took off his belt, and I thought, oh boy.
Oh, here it comes.
So he started whacking the bed, and he said, you know, So I'm going, what's up, and my mother came out and said, well, you know, no, don't do that anymore. I said, I know.
So that's as bad as it got in the Conway household.
Oh, that's as bad as it got, yeah.
That's not too bad. And it's been an amazing story. It's an amazing book. And what a life. What is the lesson that people should draw from Tim Conway's life and work?
Well, you're only here once, and you've got to enjoy it. I know it's tough at times because outside elements do make it rather restrictive, money and things of that nature, but enjoy it while you're here. It's such a pleasure to be involved with you.
Okay.
And this whole crew.
Invading your home. I know.
Yeah,
This is
right.
probably the high. In fact, you could write another book just about this experience, and I hope you will. Tim Conway, you are a constant joy to so many.
There's no question about it.
That's true. Certainly to our family and to so many others. So I thank you for that and for the interview.
Oh, thank you.
He's too much. Now, during that interview, there was a little piece of video I want to share with you. Tim Conway referenced that he is a tailor. I want to show you how he's used that skill in the room where we shot the interview. Take a look. Now, is this your normal attire when in this room?
Yes, I come down here and relax. I have a bedspread made out of this same material, so I'm comfortable wherever it's on.
He is a stitch. What's So Funny? My Hilarious Life by Tim Conway is available at bookstores everywhere and at all the online retailers. Well, that is all the time we have. Until next week, the show continues on Facebook and Twitter. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. The links are at RaymondArroyo.com. By the way, if you sign up for my free e-blast, I'll send you exclusive content, including our remembrances of Father Newhouse and the latest news. Go to the center of the webpage at RaymondArroyo.com. In the meantime, we'll be scouting the world over for all that is seen and unseen. On behalf of the staff and crew of EWTN News, thanks for watching. I'm Raymond Arroyo from Washington, D.C. See you next time. Bye now.